This is the beginning of our theater documentary on how we attempted to find out what causes high schoolers the most stress. We start off with a aerial view of where it will take place and where will we be recording. High school is one of the most stressful parts of teenage life. Many teenagers see high school as an inhospitable environment, but we want to know why. To make our documentary, we used a 3-step process to try to figure out what causes high school stress.
Step 1. The interviews. To get a good idea about what factors cause high school students the most stress, we decided that the best way to start would be to interview high schoolers right here at Queen Creek High. We wanted to get first-hand perspectives from kids that deal with stress all the time. We also made sure to get our answers from a diverse selection of people so that we could hear about many different experiences from voices that come from a wide variety of backgrounds. The responses you will see are from all 4 grade levels and students from all kinds of classes and school-related groups.
Stress, it kind of, with the school, it builds up, so it gets to the point where I end up having just basically a mental breakdown. And they teach us, stress relief, but they don't ever teach us at a young age, so we never actually use it.
Yeah.
And it just makes things much more worse, especially if you're doing like tech or shows. We get to manage everything and even the people at the same time.
I'd have to say that what causes me the most stress is the amount of work assigned, because I think homework is important for studying and getting that knowledge imprinted in your brain, but having to do so much every day from multiple classes is a bit excessive.
So the biggest stressors, of course, are the work placed on us, but I think the best way that teachers can minimize that stress is by providing outlets for people to feel better, because a lot of us don't have a way to release everything that we've got going on.
But then also, on top of having homework, I feel the stress of needing to be involved in school, or I feel like I'm missing out on like the high school experience. So then I force myself to be involved, and then I don't have time to do homework, which is frustrating because then I end up not doing great in my classes, or at least not understanding.
Because some go home right after school and they can do homework and then do whatever. But right now, I'm in Newsies, and we are going up until later in the day, 6 or 7, and that gives me very little time to actually do my homework.
I definitely would agree with a lot of people by saying it's homework, specifically about stuff I don't enjoy doing, such as English. I find English hard for me because I have trouble reading a lot of stuff, and doing those kind of work stuff, like essays, they're just ridiculously hard for me.
Carter was the first of many people to point out that the amount of work assigned in their English or ELA class causes them lots of stress.
Probably honors English.
Specifically ELA.
Probably my ELA class.
Probably would be like English class.
The main class that gives me the most stress about this is English, because I just feel like English is something you shouldn't have homework every day for, but we have it.
Right, like it's a little excessive, like you can kind of get the point without having that much work.
And if we just focus on getting as much knowledge put into the students during the class day, instead of giving them the basics and then having them work on it after school, because most students don't have the time.
Definitely the workload. The content itself isn't hard, but the amount of just repetition.
Right.
It's just like not only it's learning, it's the easy part. It's doing the work
Yeah, getting it done.
to get it done.
Right,
That's the stressful part, because like you have like 5 assignments due in the next day, and you're not even gonna understand like what those assignments are for.
Stress in high school doesn't always relate to academic success. Many high schoolers are stressed out by things like peer pressure and trying to fit in. Audrey Henderson, a freshman, elaborated on what it's like to deal with these things as a high schooler.
Probably the people, because mostly I think that like it's really hard to find friends if you're at a new school, or if you're just trying to meet new people. And that gives people a lot of stress because you don't really know who you'll socialize and be with. And I think that's like a really big problem. So I think we should fix that somehow.
Step 2. The form. After we conducted our interviews, we started to think broader. If we were going to make a change on the issue of stress, we realized that the most effective way to represent our findings would be to collect data and see how the actual numbers looked. So, we crafted a Google form and sent it out to 10 different teachers to have their students take. These are the results we received. First, we asked the students to rate each of their subjects on a scale of 1 to 5 from least to most stressful. Math came in as one of the most stressful subjects, with 58.2% of the answers rating it a 3 or higher, and 38.2% giving it at least a 4. But it wasn't outdone by the answer people gave for their ELA class, where more than 7 out of 10 people said that it was at least somewhat stressful. Luckily, the stress levels for science courses took a step back, with only 34.5% of people rating it a 3 or higher. However, 9.1% of the answers still rated it extremely stressful. The answers shown for social studies classes proved it to be the least stressful of the bunch according to the majority, but that doesn't mean that 23.6% of students don't still struggle with stress in these classes. Interestingly enough, and even 40% of students rated their chosen elective class as somewhat stressful or worse. Finally, the foreign language subject was given a 3 or higher 34.6% of the time. However, almost half of those answers were 5s, meaning that learning a second language has its fair share of stress. After accumulating ratings for each subject, we wanted to dive deeper and find out the cause for people's responses. When asked if more stress is caused by having a lot of work or by having difficult work, almost 9 out of 10 people agreed that the quantity was the bigger issue. Unsurprisingly, math and English took up over 65% of the answers to us asking which class assigns the most work, but English had a strong lead. This concurred with a lot of the responses we got from our interviews. On the flip side, we asked which class had the most difficult content, and math and English swept the charts with every single response going to one of the two subjects. 5 out of 6 people answered that the content is the hardest in their math class. Sadly, we found that more than half the people who took this survey faced some sort of social stress, such as peer pressure, bullying, or other bad experiences with people at school. Step 3. Showing our results to the teachers. The results we got from the form were very interesting and informative, so we wanted the teachers to see what the students had to say about their classes.
We interviewed teachers about high school stress and showed them our data. Then we asked them a follow-up question on ways they think students could relieve some of their high school stress. A lot of their tips and ideas rounded about to basically just being time management, saying students need to be able to manage their time efficiently and be able to manage their time so that way they will have enough time in the day to do what they need to.